Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. I don't know if you saw this last week or so, but I did post a couple of questions in the group asking if you had any questions that I could answer about meditation or mindfulness. So, a few questions came up, and I wanted to take an opportunity to share some of the answers with you. So, the first question is, what is meditation versus mindfulness? What is the difference? So, the way I like to look at it is meditation is a form of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not necessarily a meditation, but they're very closely linked. So, the difference being that mindfulness is more of a state of being. It's something that you can kind of do at any time. Meditation is a specific act that you kind of sit down and do with intention. So you're going to sit down, you're going to practice focusing your mind. You're going to be flexing the focus muscle of the mind when you're meditating, so that you can be more mindful throughout the day. So I hope that clears that up a little bit. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to expand further. The next question is, what are the benefits of being mindful? So there are a lot of benefits of being mindful, and these might seem like no-brainers, but I do think it's important to point them out. There's benefits to not only yourself and your own well-being, but to those around you as well. So when you have a mindfulness practice, you are essentially practicing thinking before you act or before you do. You're using your mind. So how is that going to benefit you? Well, a couple ways. It's going to benefit the people around you, because if you tend to speak before you think, or if you ever have a temper or get angry or frustrated or lash out to anyone, whether it's a family member, a loved one, a stranger, we all have those times where we get frustrated and maybe almost say something we don't mean, or get a little angrier than maybe we need to. The point being, if you have a mindfulness practice, then you will be able to take that pause, take that beat, think about what you're about to say or do, and maybe even think about what the consequences are, how that's going to make somebody else feel. And if you have that mindfulness muscle working, then you have just a little bit more time to maybe think about it before you do it, and maybe decide to change how you're going to say that, how you're going to do that. Or maybe don't even say it or do it at all. So that is sort of how it can show up when you're not necessarily expecting it. But another way it can really show up is for yourself, right? In the opposite way, the really positive way. So if you think about, what being mindful does to you in a day-to-day from a positive perspective, think about how it's going to allow you to find more joy and gratitude throughout the day. Meaning, if you're being mindful and aware, if you have this awareness of your surroundings, of the things that are happening to you, or even the things that are not happening to you. I mean, how many times have you ever been grateful that you didn't get into an accident, or that you didn't have a fight with somebody? Do you ever think about all the things that don't happen to you that could have ruined your day? These are some of the things that mindfulness can provide us. The ability to notice the little things, right? Stop, smell the roses, notice the beauty around you, find the joy, find the gratitude. And the more that you notice the little things, the more the joy and the happiness of your day outweighs the negative things that might be happening throughout your day. And that's going to shift your whole mindset and really allow you to experience more joy in life, which is really part of the point, right? Okay, that was a very long-winded answer. How do I incorporate mindfulness in my day-to-day? Well, we talked about this a little bit already, but essentially it's just trying to take a moment to pause and think. And the more you do meditate, the more you practice that focus muscle, you will have an easier time of finding mindfulness throughout the day. But anytime that you can take a moment to just breathe, take a deep breath, think about how you're feeling, name your feelings, name your thoughts. I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling angry. I am feeling hungry, and that's making me irritable. Naming your feelings throughout the day is something that is going to really help you incorporate mindfulness throughout the longevity of your day. Just stopping and saying, I'm feeling happy, or I'm feeling meh. Like, I don't even know why. I'm just super mad today. Knowing it, and then maybe even sharing that with those that you spend the most time with, spouse, family members, coworkers. Hey, I'm feeling super meh today. I'm just laying that out there for everyone to know. That's one way you can really incorporate mindfulness throughout your day. All right, moving more into meditation. So, how do you shut your mind off? Actually, I'm going to come back to this one. I want to answer this one next. How do you start meditating? How do you get comfortable? How do you actually do it, right? How do you sit still for a few minutes? So let's talk about getting into meditation, how to start the practice. There are many ways that you can do this. There's no one right way. So I'm going to give you some options. Option one is to have something like a cushion or even a yoga mat or some yoga blocks. So let me show you a few of options that I like to practice with. I have my little meditation cushion here. This I got on Amazon for, I think, a birthday present a couple years ago, and it is great. It's nice and big, so you can sit your whole body on it and cross your legs if you like to have your legs crossed. If you don't like that, another great option is to sit on yoga blocks. The nice thing about sitting on some yoga blocks is that you get to keep your hips higher than your heels. So if you have tight hips, this is going to be really helpful for you. It's also really going to help you keep your spine nice and long and tall because you don't really have anything to slouch or lean back onto. So this is one really nice option if you have tightness in the hips or the legs. Another great option is a chair, of course. So let me show you. I mean, honestly, there's not much to show. I know you know how to sit on a chair, but what I mean by this is that you can do this anywhere, right? You can do this at work. You can do this in the car if you're not driving. You can really do this anywhere. Just allow yourself to plant down through all four corners of your feet. So if you're sitting on a chair, I would recommend maybe not crossing your legs necessarily. Let your knees be right above the ankles, 90 degrees. And again, try to sit tall. If you have arms, you can use them, but you don't necessarily need to. This is another great option. Another option for you, and this is really good if you maybe have a lot of tension in your back, is to sit against the wall, right? So maybe you don't have a problem sitting on your butt, or maybe you do like to sit on the yoga blocks. This is another option to use those as well. Or even with your cushion, sit against the wall. That way you don't have to worry about holding yourself up or slouching and allowing your back to round, which can get sore. Allow yourself to sit against the wall, place your head against the wall. And finally, your last option is to lie down. Now, the reason this is the last option that I offer you is because when you're meditating, you can get a little sleepy if you are not accustomed to it. But if you have a pillow, this is absolutely a great option, especially if you have just done a yoga class and maybe you want to sit in Shavasana for a little bit longer, or your own personal yoga practice, you can sit in Shavasana a little bit longer. that is a great option as well. Just make sure that you're not going to fall asleep. Okay, final question. Coming back to it. How do you shut off your mind? So a big misconception about meditation is that you can only meditate if you know how to turn off your mind and make yourself stop thinking. Well, I don't know any human that can make themselves stop thinking. Maybe a very well-trained monk who has practiced meditating several hours at a day has been able to focus their mind so much so they don't get distracted. But I would imagine even they do. The point of meditating is not to turn off your mind. The point of meditating is to practice the focus muscle, right? It's to flex the focus muscle. It's to practice focusing the mind and noticing when you become distracted, right? So if you start meditating, and there are several ways that you can practice focusing, but if you start meditating, maybe you're using an app, maybe you're not. You're just maybe have some nice music on, or maybe you have nothing that you're using at all. You're just trying to sit in some stillness for a little bit. If you are noticing that you are becoming distracted, maybe everything you've ever had to do in your whole life just starts flooding your brain, that's totally okay. What you do is you start to say, okay, I am thinking about this. So instead of thinking about it, you're trying to remove yourself from the thought and becoming the observer of the thought. You're saying, okay, I am being distracted. You're not thinking, oh, I have to make laundry, I have to make dinner, I have to do laundry. You're thinking, oh, I am being distracted. I am thinking about my to-do list. So you start to try to separate yourself, your mind, your focus from the tasks that your monkey mind is starting to fall into. And that's hard. That's absolutely not something that you should just be able to pick up the first time. That's why we practice. And if you practice it on a regular basis, it will start to become easier. Just like having that pause before you react to something becomes easier, and it gets just a little bit longer the more we practice. So, what are some things that you can try to focus on to help you flex the focus muscle when you're starting to get distracted? Well, there's a couple of different things that I want to offer to you. A is your breath, right? So we know that focusing on the breath is a really common and important piece of meditation. So what I mean by that is by listening and feeling your breath going up and down, in and out. Each time you inhale and exhale, try to just focus on the feeling and the sound of the breath itself. One thing that really helps me focus on the breath is to count. I actually count how long it takes for me to take a full inhale and a full exhale. Sometimes the numbers change. Sometimes I'm inhaling up to 6 and I'm exhaling through 6. So I would, for an example, I would say to myself in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I would pause at the top of my inhale, and then I would start counting backwards. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I would keep doing that with each inhale. And maybe I feel like I need a little bit longer time. My count might go up to 6 or 8 or 10. And sometimes I don't time it out perfectly, and that's okay too. But if I'm feeling really distracted, that's very helpful for me to hone it in and give myself something active to think about than just trying to think about space or blankness. Another thing that can really help is thinking about a specific part of the body, right? So if you're breathing, you might notice that your chest is lifting and your chest is coming back down with each breath, right? Or maybe you want to focus on, I've had some meditations that have told me to focus on the tip of my nostrils, right? So where you're feeling the actual air come in and out through your nose, trying to focus on that sensation. You can also focus on a visual, right? Sometimes what I like to imagine when my eyes are closed is I'm imagining I'm looking at darkness, at black, right? And I'm imagining this tiny little light out in the distance. And as I inhale, I imagine the little light, the little ball becoming bigger. And as I exhale, I imagine it getting smaller. And as I inhale, it grows. And it might be a different color. It could be white, it could be blue. Sometimes you can imagine a place that you have been or want to go that's beautiful. Sometimes you can imagine sitting on a beach or sitting in the snow. Maybe you can even almost feel the breeze blooming across your face, right? These are different things that you can try to focus your attention on while you're meditating. I know I just gave you a ton of options. If you ever want to use a meditation app, a couple of recommendations that I really like are the Calm app and Apple Fitness Plus, actually. So I use the Apple Fitness Plus for workouts, and they actually have guided meditations as well. The Calm app does have a daily, they have different options. They have the daily Calm, and then they have a couple of different options as well that are different lengths. The daily Calm is always 10 minutes. And the Apple Fitness Plus, they have a 10-minute option or a 5-minute option. And of course, another option is an app called Aura, A-U-R-A. These are all subscription bases, of course, so maybe try some free trials and check them out and see which ones you like the most, or pick one and kind of go with it. They all have different features as well, not just meditations. But of course, if you're not looking into an app subscription, YouTube is a fantastic resource. I know I have several meditations and I definitely want to create more for you. Those are just a few different options. I think that covers everything I can think of right now. I would recommend trying to incorporate a meditation practice into your everyday if you can. I will say one new routine that I have started lately is a morning movement and meditation practice. I do 10 minutes of yoga using Apple Fitness Plus. They have 10-minute classes. I'm actually hoping to create some 10-minute classes for you too that you can start joining on with me. But in the meantime, if you want to use those or anybody else's, those are great options. So I do 10 minutes of yoga, and then I do 10 minutes of meditation. And I do this first thing in the morning. I started setting my alarm early. So my son usually gets up at 7, so I try to get up at 6 to do this. I usually snooze till about 6:30, which means I can get it all in just before he gets up. But I am finding that to be incredibly impactful in my day-to-day. I bust out some workout minutes and calories in the morning, get myself moving, and I get my mind focused, which is really helpful. And I do find that doing the yoga first before meditating really helps because it wakes up my body a little bit. I find that if I wake up and try to meditate first thing, I'm a little too groggy. So that is something that has worked for me. Okay, I will stop rambling. If you have any questions or want further explanation or you want to talk about any of this, have a dialogue back and forth, please let me know. You can leave questions in the comments or schedule some time to chat. I would love to hear your thoughts and your feedback on this little training. Thank you so much and have a beautiful rest of your day.